The Albanese government is revising the national cybersecurity strategy to make it more ambitious.
As a country, we need to do more and be bigger and bolder with how we think about what is going to be probably the most important security risk that we face coming into the future decades. So we are starting the process of building a new strategy that will think about what the Australian government needs to do to protect ourselves from cyber attack, which will be a central part of any conflict that may occur in the decades ahead, but also how we're going to protect everyday Australians.
Joining me live now to talk about this is Katherine Mansted, Director of Cyber Intelligence at CyberCX. Thanks for your time. So a new strategy, we had the coalitions released already. More ambitious, says the Minister. What's missing? What should they be doing that wasn't in the existing strategy?
So I think this is an area of rapid change, rapid technology change, and also rapid deterioration in Australia's threat landscape. So on the cyber workforce shortage piece, what we've seen is that the shortages, unfortunately, are much greater than anyone has previously predicted. That's not because the studies weren't good, that's because the landscape has changed so much.
As in you need more workers than we thought we needed before.
That's absolutely right. So in the next 4 years, we're looking at a shortfall of 30,000 cybersecurity professionals. So to put that into context, that's more growth in the sector than in, say, the care sector or even in software developing. So huge growth.
And so how many are in the sector right now? How many workers do we have within cybersecurity?
So we're looking at about a 40% increase, so almost doubling where we are now in terms of cybersecurity. The biggest.
So we've got something like 35,000 now. We need 65.
Yeah, that's right.
Give or take.
That's right.
So you can't. Is it possible to train them all up? I mean, how many could we train versus how many do we need to attract as migrants, do you think?
So skilled migration is going to have a role, absolutely, but the bulk of it is going to have to come from training and also reinvigorating the way we do training in this country. So we'll need a partnership between government, industry, also TAFEs in the university sector, and we're going to need to rapidly upskill. So we're talking, for instance, TAFE programs that let people enter into the workforce more quickly than a tertiary degree, and also industry academies. That's a trend that's emerged in the last 6 months or so, on-the-job digital apprenticeships to fill the gap.
So going away from a tertiary course, which I don't know, might have a bit more theory in it and this sort of thing, which is great if you want to do it, but it takes longer, right, first of all. And then if you go to a TAFE or an academy base, it's shorter. Maybe someone trains up with the initial skills for a year, then gets a job and keeps learning on the job, but at that point they're in the workforce.
Yeah, that's right. It's not to say that universities don't have a role to play here. Of course, they've got a big role to play, but it's about combining the different pathways to fill the gap and also enable people to access TAFE, industry, apprenticeships, university in a good mix that helps us get this pipeline going.
I know we learn a lot about what business should do and making sure you should protect what you have, and sometimes it can feel like a big cost for a business to pay $10,000, but imagine the cost of not acting. What about individuals? What should they be doing within reason?
Well, I would say before you think about protecting yourself, if you're an individual, think about entering into the cybersecurity workforce because it's a high growth area, right? High growth, high salary, big opportunity. In terms
Is that the best way to attract it? I guess some people go, oh, it's a bit of a pointy job, you know, I don't want to work in IT or whatever. And if our department is watching, you do great work at Sky News. But is there a bit of perception that it's not an exciting job?
Oh, I don't think so at all. I mean, this is the workforce of the future. This is about, it's not an IT conversation that just goes on in a basement. Cybersecurity is a strategy question. It's a cut and thrust with the adversary situation. It's about building, it's about innovating. So I actually think it's a super exciting
And you never know
pathway.
where you'll end up.
No, you don't at all.
What do they call it? The good hackers. What are they called?
The white hat hackers.
Yes.
And not everything's about hacking, right? It's also about defence, strategy, intelligence, forensics, incident response. So there's a range of different personas, some of them really technical, some of them less technical. The other thing that's important to emphasise is it's a really skewed workforce in terms of gender at the moment. That's a big opportunity. There's a huge amount of talent. So the sector at the moment is 21% women. Right? So that's a huge amount of talent out there that could come into the industry in the next 6 months to help boost this shortfall.
Yeah, and high-paying jobs, it might help the gender pay gap. It sounds exciting. It's probably too late for me. What should individuals be doing about their own security? One thing I always know that people suggest is you have this sort of passcode and never just do your own passcodes, do the complicated one, and then I go, okay, I'll do the complicated one, and then my phone loses it, and I think, I'm just sticking with my old one. What would you suggest there? What's your advice?
Yeah, I would say use a password manager, right? So let someone else,
an app within the
have
phone?
an app to let someone else do that for you. But absolutely, you've got to have strong passwords. You've got to make sure that you use multi-factor authentication. So that's a big fancy word for saying don't just have one form of logging in. Have a
text message that gets sent
exactly
to you.
how your bank would operate.
So always opt in to, even though you think that's annoying.
Even though it's a little bit of a pain, the dividends for you as an individual are great. The other thing is just pay attention to how much data about yourself you leak out online. So think about your social media settings, for instance, because that's often where criminals might go looking for you to build a profile. Absolutely.
The one advice I got once was to turn your phone off and on every day, because if someone's got in there and you turn it off, it resets their access.
I don't know how safe that would make you. Certainly you should check for updates on your phone, and whenever iOS, or if you're with Apple or Samsung, automatic download of updates on your phone, anything, because that's where that vital update to security will come to you.
Katherine Mansted, thanks for your time.